So this is Mark from Cycling Maven. This is another A-grade Criterium at St Kilda. This one's run on the 12th of April 2015. And you can see by the orange bar at the top of my screen, that's my power meter, data directly from my power meter. We're starting to push on the pedals a little bit harder in this second lap. So straight away from the gun, the boys have kicked out of that neutral lap, and a few guys are trying to go off the front. As you can see, as we're going through this turn, it's fairly strung out. So you can see my power there up to 500 watts. Anything really over 300 watts is going hard. You know, if you were riding, just cruising down on a training ride, you'd be pushing anywhere from 100 to 220, 230 watts. So 300 watts and above is pretty much race pace. And in fact, arguably, you could say in the late 200s as well, because you know, 300 watts, to be able to push that for an hour, it's quite a good power output. So you can see here, kicking out of that bottom corner, we're up to 700 watts. I'm sitting on the back of the bunch here, so probably not the best position to be. I don't know what's going on the very front. I mean, these guys are literally, you can see the guys up front, they're 100 meters in front of me. So if there was a breakaway go away here and it was successful, I wouldn't know anything about it. And so, yeah, you can coast on the back here. This is called the, well, we used to call it the ladies' lounge, sitting at the back. But I think that's a bit of a derogatory term these days, because the women's cycling has never been so good. It's absolutely flourishing here, particularly in Australia at the moment. I don't know about the rest of the world, but we're definitely seeing a lot more women getting into cycling. So you can see here, we're definitely pushing hard on the pedals. The bunch is single file. We're catching C grade. So there's A grade and C grade run on this course at the same time. And we ended up lapping C grade probably 3 or 4 times during this hour race. But that's not to say C grade's not fast. I don't think there's much difference in terms of average speed of between the grades. But I think the major difference is there's a lot more attacking in A grade. It's a bit unrelenting, the power to the pedals, whereas in the lower grades it tends to be still a fast pace, but they will attack, chase each other down, slow down for a little while, and then someone else will attack when they're all fresh again, and that sort of goes on and off. Whereas in A grade, people tend to attack unrelentless, and that's why it's generally hard to sit in the A grade bunch, because you're always at max heart rate. So you can see here, we're still pushing on the pedals hard. My heart rate is at 160. There goes Lee Turner, Hollywood. Can't miss him in his kit. Love it. Good to see. So you can see on the left there, the deep dish race wheels in Criteriums. There's not a lot of wind here. There's no hills. So these wheels, once they're up to speed, I mean, we're probably averaging in the mid 40s for the whole race. We're not really slowing down and sort of kicking out of a slow corner and up to high speeds. So these wheels, you can see, I've highlighted this. There's two guys attacking down the far right hand side. You know, this is the thing with A grade, is these guys are unrelenting in their attacks. It's continuous attacks the whole race. We chase people down, and then there's another attack goes. And these boys behind me, we're all sort of coasting a bit. We know the race is an hour long, so you know, you want to sort of look after your legs as well. But let some other people chase down the attacks. So you can see here, I've highlighted, he's got one water bottle, and if you look over to the right, that guy's got one water bottle, and the guy in front of me, he's got one water bottle. You know, I suppose a tip is, at the beginning of the race, this is only an hour Criterium. You only need to carry one water bottle. You don't need 2 water bottles. You know, that's an extra kilogram of fluid that you're carrying around for a race that you probably won't drink. You're probably not going to drink 2 bottles of water. So I suppose my tip at the beginning of the race is to take off the excess water bottle if it's only an hour long race. If it was 2 or 3 hours long, then yeah, have those 2 water bottles. The other thing is take off all your lights. Take everything out of your pockets, your keys, your wallet, leave it all by the side of the road or with a friend. You don't want to be carrying unnecessary stuff around on the race with you, because it's all those little 1%ers that add up to you having some success, you know, getting on the podium. And carrying an extra kilo or two around on the bike is probably unnecessary. I'd get rid of all that stuff at the beginning. It's a bit like this guy in front of me. He's wearing a skin suit, so full skin suit. It's a one-piece outfit. You know, is it going to make much of a difference to his race? Probably not, but it's 1 or 2%. You know, and they're all the things that count. If you've got it, use it. You can see the beautiful backdrop of Melbourne in the background. This is a great place to race. This is right next to the city of Melbourne, in Port Melbourne or South Melbourne. Yeah, just a fantastic location for bike racing. We're very fortunate. So you can see a lot of these guys here, they're on the hoods, so their hands are resting on the tops of the hoods, and some of the guys are resting on the drops. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. Generally in a race it's better to be on the drops because you want to be in that low profile, that sort of time trial position. But you know, it doesn't really matter. I've had a few guys in the comments say, oh, why is everyone on the hoods? Well, you know, it's whatever makes you comfortable. I mean, the guy here in front of me, he ended up winning the race. So he's sitting on the hoods, and you know, so it doesn't really make a difference. Whereas these guys are all on the drops. So it's whatever makes you feel comfortable. So yeah, number 18, that's Troy Clark. He ended up winning the race, so it's, you know, it's quite interesting to see him sitting here just cruising in amongst the bunch, you know, just watching what's going on. But you know, he had moments, and I remember throughout the race, where he would just attack, go with the brake, and here he goes again. So he's decided, he's looked up the road and he's seen that there's a few guys that are a little bit dangerous up the road there. You can see them on the far left hand side. So he said, right, I'm going to go across to this brake, and who knows, it could be successful. That, as it turned out, this brake wasn't successful, but the next one was. So here we are, we have a few guys chasing the brake down on the front. Guy in front of me's realised that the bunch is sat up, and he's decided he's going to go across to the brake. So this is what happens all throughout the race. It's a bit of a chess game, you know. Like, it's not like anyone here that's sitting amongst this little bunch here now could probably go across to those 5 or 6 guys that are off the front, but it's about, you know, calculated risks. Like, are these guys going to get brought back? Are all these guys feeling fresh? And you know, are they going to chase them and bring them down, bring them back? So it's a bit of a gamble, you know. You've only got a certain amount of efforts that you can exert throughout the race, so you want to make them count, really. So this is the Total Rush team on the right hand side. Total Rush is a very well-known bike shop in Richmond, in Melbourne, Victoria. So if you're new to Melbourne, get down, and it's a good bike shop. They actually sponsor some of these Criteriums at St Kilda, and they're a really fun, friendly and professional bunch of guys. So get in and say good day. So you can see here again, the hammer's gone down. I mean, with 700 watts there, just a little burst to get through these bends, and we're still stringing. It's late at night. I'm tired. I'm stumbling over my words, but yeah, we're still strung out here. And this is Criterium racing for you. You know, it's sort of the power's on and off and on and off, and it's basically heart rate management. So you can see a little bunch forming off the front, probably 5, 6 guys. And you know, this is where the guy on the front of our bunch, you know, he's got to work out, oh, does he really want to chase this down? And it's a bit of cat and mouse. So you can see how close we all are to each other. We race our bikes a lot, all of these guys, so everyone's very comfortable with being close proximity to each other. If you're new to bike racing, you know, this looks pretty scary that we're all sort of really close, but the more you do it, the more you'll get used to doing it. So just relax. I mean, one thing I used to tell myself when I first started back into racing, I've had 5 years off the bike, but I got back into bike racing about 8 months ago. And one thing I was doing is I was holding onto the handlebars really tight, and my arms and everything was tense, you know, I was so worked up. And you've just got to continually tell yourself to relax and breathe and just make your arms go floppy, hold the handlebars lightly. So you can see here I'm second wheel, there's 2 guys off the front, and there's no way, I mean, I'm not working for a team, so there's no way I'm chasing those 2 guys down. I'm going to let someone else do it. So I've sort of pulled over to the left a little bit, and I pull over to the left here, and you know, I don't have a team in this bike race, and I'm a sprinter, so there's no way that there's no reason for me to chase anybody down. And I suppose it's that attitude that contributes to these breakaways going away. But if you're the guy working on the front all the time, you're never going to win a bike race. If you're sitting on the front chasing everything down, you're probably going to get strong, but you're not going to win these bike races. You've really got to be strategic in how you go about the bike race. Training's for training. I mean, I suppose some people would listen to me say that and think, yeah, you get strong doing that. But racing's for racing, training's for training. So if you want to get strong, go out and train hard. But racing is all about looking after yourself, looking after your legs. You know, you want to win bike races, so you've got to look after yourself. There's no point sitting on the front, pulling people back for absolutely no reason. And just on that, you know, 15 years ago I used to have mates, we'd all ride out to the bike races, we'd do 100 Ks before the bike race, rock up to the race, we'd race and then ride home. So we'd get 200 Ks or so in the bank on that day. And in retrospect, I mean, I still do it to this day, but in retrospect, I sort of think now that if you're going to race, you know, drive to the race, race on fresh legs and maybe do your kilometres after. Because at the end of the day, you're really going to have a limited lifespan within cycling, so you may as well try and win every race that you enter, rather than using races for training. I mean, let's face it, you're not going to be around the sport. Oh, you may be around it all your life, but you're really going to have a peak time in your life when you're going to be doing really well at bike racing, and you may as well do the best you can do in these bike races. So you can see here we've obviously caught everyone. Oh no, there's a couple of guys up the road there, but the bunch is sat up. Everyone's sort of looking at everybody else to do the chasing.
For the next 7 days, you can enjoy it again in its entirety. You can also get a track listing and tell us what you thought about the mix whilst you're there.
Notice the cadence here on some of these guys. So they're really spinning these gears around. There's no one pushing a big gear. They're all spinning at about 100 cadence. Cadence, if you don't know what I mean by cadence, it determines the it's how fast you're spinning your feet around. So if you're spinning at a high cadence, you're you know, at 100 revolutions per minute, and if you're spinning at a low cadence, that's around 60. So that's pushing a big gear, you know, really pushing on the pedals hard and spinning your feet around slowly. Now, it's always best to spin at between 90 and 110 cadence. That's they say that that's the optimal zone for that power output versus saving your legs. I like to sit on about 90 to 100 cadence in these races. I wouldn't push a big gear, sit around 80, 70, 80 cadence, because at the end of the day what you do is you have excess build-up of lactic acid in your legs, and you really want to be saving your legs for those moments when you want to put the hammer down. So spinning is probably the best option. So you can see as we jump out of the corners, the power pops up to 700 watts, and then as we come out of the corner we sort of all sit up and you get a bit of respite, you get your heart rate sort of down a couple of beats, and then back you're out of the next corner pushing on the pedals hard again. So that's what Criterium racing is. It's really about heart rate management. I could jump off the front here. I'm only at 152 beats a minute, my max heart rate's about 185. So I could jump off the front here, but within maybe 30-40 seconds my heart rate would be at its max, and then I'd be probably, knowing me, I'd be brought back into the bunch, but then I would have to recover to try to stay on the back of the bunch. So it really is all about heart rate management, looking after your legs, looking after your power output, and trying to save yourself for those times when you either are going to attack or at the finish of the bike race. See the guy in front of me, he's got a rear wheel, very deep dish wheel. You know, they're good for these Criteriums. The sort of wheel you get up to speed and you keep it at speed, and they're fast. You can put a lot of high pressure in them. You see we're passing C grade again. That's Rico Rogers on the right there in the black and the white, number 50 something, 52. Really nice guy, very good bike rider, very good sprinter. He's only light. He put a picture on Instagram recently that he was hitting something phenomenal in his sprint, some high power output. I think it was 1800 watts or something like that. But you know, considering this guy is he'd be 60 to 65 kilos, you know, that's around 20 to 21, maybe 22 watts per kilo. So that's huge output. So while we're moving along here, let's have a chat about sock height. You notice these boys, just a fashion police observation. All of them have got high socks. None of them are wearing the ankle high socks. So when in doubt, always pull on the long socks. So next time you're shopping online at Capo or Map, which is another great online cycling clothing shop in Melbourne, just make sure you get the long socks. Alright, you don't want to be running ankle socks in bike racing, because it's just not the done thing. It's like not shaving your legs. Anyone who rocks up to a bike race without having shaven legs, whether they be male or female, they just don't look professional. So make sure you shave your legs, wear long socks. Make sure your nicks. There's even a certain height that you should pull your cycling shorts or your cycling nicks down to. You don't want them too high. Okay. You want to pull them down close to your knee. None of these boys have got their cycling shorts, you know, pulled right up, showing heaps of leg. They've all got just maybe a couple of inches to the knee. What else is there? Oh, your helmet. You don't want to wear the helmet on your back of your head. You always want to push your helmet forward. Make sure it's sitting low, just above the eyes, just above the eyelashes. You'll notice none of these boys looking at their helmets. They're not sitting on the back of their heads. They're always forward. Make sure you do your straps up. Just, you know, little 1%ers. Make yourself look good. Part of cycling is about looking good. So if you could read Hollywood's lips there, he's yelling out that he'd like to get on Cycling Maven's video. So he's slotted right in front of me. So this is Rico Rogers coming back. He's obviously done a turn on the front. He's coming back through the bunch. There's Lee Turner just pretending he's talking on race radio, saying that Rico's cracked it. But yeah, Rico was jumping off the front the whole race, just doing a few odd turns here and there. That's Jason Nevins there to the right, so he's just come up into A grade from B grade. So there's quite a few fit boys that are coming up through the grades.
You're listening to the Essential Mix from Motion in Bristol.
Where's that take me, Baba?
So I'm third wheel here, coming through to do my turn, and you can see my power pops up to over 600 watts. So pushing into a slight wet headwind here, leading the bunch through, and we've sort of popped off the front a little bit. This is probably an example of doing your turn, but probably doing it too hard. You know, anything over 500 watts is quite a hard effort. And you can see there's three of us that have popped off the front of the bunch, and that was completely unintentional. It's just that I wanted to pull a good turn. So pretty much by now the bunch is chasing us down. So we've got a group of, I think there's 6 riders off the front, and they're probably, by now, they'd be a half a lap in front of us. So all of these little attacks are pretty much futile. But this is how the main bunch, this is how the brake doesn't get caught, right? So what happens is you have a little break of 3 like us go away. The main bunch reacts eventually, and they chase us down, they catch us, and then everybody sits up. Everybody just sits up, and that's how a successful breakaway stays away, because whilst the bunch is chasing hard and they catch you, and then they sit up and they sort of relax a bit, and then they attack again, and then they sit up again. Meanwhile, the breakaway of 6 riders up front is just keeping that steady tempo of, you know, 50, 51, 52 kilometers an hour, and it's consistent. So that's why they stay away. Whereas the bunch like this, you know, another attack goes, so there goes another guy, and then the bunch will react and they'll chase him down, and then they'll sit up again. So yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is try to be in the break, especially if it's a break of, for a guy like me, if it's a break of 5, 6, 7, 8 riders, then that's good. If it's a break of 2 or 3 riders, it's not good, because I'm not strong enough to roll turns really hard turns at that frequency. But you know, if it's a bigger breakaway of 7, 8 riders, then it sort of suits me to a T, because I can roll a turn fairly intermittently, recover, roll a turn again. So I've jumped to the end of the bike race here. We're coming down the back straight. We've been going for probably an extra 20 minutes or 40 minutes all up in the bike race. And we've been told that the breakaway group are catching us. So we put the gas down for a few laps, and there they are there. They've finally tailed onto the end of the main bunch. So it's just over 1 kilometre long circuit. They've managed to get right the way around and catch us, and Dave McLean just, I love the way he just sort of weaves his way through the tail of the bunch here and in the green, and just comes shooting through with the boys in tow. So there's 6, 7 riders up the road. They've caught the main field, and so as soon as that happens, the main field's pulled out of the bike race. So we're out of the race now. As soon as you get lapped in pretty much any criterium, you're done. Your race is over. So we all pulled over, and there was probably 15 minutes left of racing to go, and we just watched them go around for a few laps. A little bit of attacking here and there, and there wasn't much. I mean, they're all pretty much in the herd house. You can see they're splintered up quite a bit. So that's it. So that's the penalty you pay, you know, sitting in the bunch and not going with the attacks. Here they are. They've got a lap to go, and this is the final corner for the sprint. And, Troy Clark gets it just by half a bike length over Matt Gould from O2 Racing. So yeah, good race. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at the next one.